to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Total protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal with your host, Conan Neutron. Broadcasting from a secret underground lair in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
A gigantic middle finger to everything that is rock about music, rock and roll, and corporate power.
Thing is, though, if you don't laugh, you're going to go on a killing spree with sharpened nails.
Confidence of a hero or a fool. I wasn't exactly certain which.
Could not be more professional.
It means something. It means something. You know, that's my take on it. What's yours?
Protonic reversal.
That's like a science thing, right?
Indeed it is. It is a science thing. It's a science place. It's a scientific fact that we are all up in your face. It is time, once again, for the one, the only, Protonic Reversal. Welcome to it, welcome to it, welcome to it. This is the, I guess it's the winter solstice edition, because it is indeed winter, as I can tell you from firsthand experience having gone outside today, in the lovely Milwaukee winter. But we are here, of course, giving you the finest in absolute quality nerd entertainment, which is to say all of the things that you can come to expect from the home of the Protonic Reversal. And I'm very excited to bring Matt Cronk back on. It's been a really long time since he's been on. I want to say it was just before the pandemic. And I want to say that because I believe that is correct. Any which way you slice it, lots happened with that guy. A lot has happened with his bands. If you're from the old school perspective, last time we talked a lot about Quee. There's also Fake Legs, Cowards, and of course Cunts, now without the U. Now with less U for value. And very excited to talk about all these new developments with Matt. He's a delightful human being, a hell of a guy. He's been through a lot, too. I mean, we all have, really, haven't we? I mean, just living in this world is enough. But, really excited to talk to Matt. But before we do that, welcome to Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal. I am your host, Conan Neutron. I am a rock and roll lifer who has been touring and recording for 23 years, most known for the band Conan Neutron, The Secret Friends. Music is a huge part of my life, and I use the format of this very long-running podcast to talk about music with musicians whose work I enjoy and respect, but who may not be household names. This is episode 366. That's 300 episodes away from being cool. If this is your first time listening to the show, archives are available for free, no ads, no sponsors, no kidding, at protonicreversal.com. However, if you want to support the show and get episodes sooner, $1 a month at patreon.com/protonicreversal will achieve that goal. And if you like the show, even just a single episode, please feel free to like, subscribe on your platform of choice, share around the internet, and even leave a review. All that helps people discover the show, beats back the almighty algorithmic overlords. It's just a darn nice thing to do. So there you go. We got Cronk. I'm excited about this. This is another case of someone that I've known for years, but has a distinguished and awesome history of putting out really cool, interesting, and sometimes challenging music. And I've been excited to have him back on again for a while. We just now are getting around to it. There's news. There's all kinds of stuff going on. But so, without any further ado, let's bring him on. Matt Cronk, welcome back to the show, man.
Hi, Conan.
I wasn't doing video when you were on last, I don't think, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
no,
that was a COVID thing. I was just like, fuck it, why not? Let's just try it.
Yeah.
And then all these people are like, I found this brand new show. It's like, oh yeah, brand new, huh? Okay. 10 years in April, by the way. Anyway.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Great to have you. I understand you got some news, and I feel like I'm doing like a David Letterman bit or something. But I understand you had an experience today that you sounds interesting.
Oh. Yeah. Well, so I had to go to the doctor today.
Always fun.
And just for a checkup and couple of, I guess a physical, though there was a whole lot to it. But okay, so I'm still sort of trying to get my mind around this. They gave me a small package, and they said that they needed a stool sample.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. and the woman explained to me what I have to do. It's like I have to get some of my shit. Can we cuss on here, right?
You can, yes, it's the internet.
Okay.
It's allowed.
Yeah.
It's mandatory in some
There's
sections.
some
of the internet.
like I'm supposed to they gave me this tube that I'm supposed to like stab into different parts of my sample and then bag it up and bring it to them.
Fair.
And
right.
I was like, so I fish one out of the toilet. She's no, it can't get wet or it'll be contaminated. And I was like, she's like, what we recommend is take like a paper plate. And it's just like sitting there like in horror, like
like, is this an Eric Andre bit? Like, what's happening right now?
Totally. I mean, and I'm a prankster.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're known to prank. It's a thing you're known for.
But like she's explaining this to me, and I actually stopped. Like, no one's ever fucking agreed to that.
Yeah,
you're telling me that this is something you tell people to do, and they just go home and do it.
Sounds good. Let's go. Let's ride.
I guess the other option is a colonoscopy, which doesn't sound not. But I was thinking about it, like really, like I'm not. I am not sure which is worse.
Right.
Anyway, and I was like, are you? And you're really a doctor? Like.
Yeah. This isn't like a candid camera, whatever the modern equivalent is.
So anyway, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it.
What's the one you got juiced or what was it? It was a
punked.
Punked, yeah. You got juiced. That's almost better, actually. You got juiced. It's like if you're gonna do something completely idiotic, then it should.
Dude, that could be our prank show.
You got juiced by the Cronk. Because you have to. Everyone has to be. There has to be like a something and the something, right? That's like how the
Conan and the
Cronk.
It's gonna be a big hit.
And you know what? Fucking the internet would love that shit. They would be like, "Oh, that's great. It's idiotic."
It'd just be me shitting on a fucking paper plate in my kitchen.
Exactly. It's real life.
Digging around in the fucking toilet.
It's the first name in family entertainment.
So what do you want to talk about now?
Well, I think we should start with the fact that you had now that we've got the family material out of the way, we can start working blue. I think that it's notable because I saw you last time I saw you in person. You were telling me about some things you were going through that were pretty intense, that were medically related.
Yeah.
So, not to put too fine a point on it, but for a while you were like not in a position to be able to sing anymore. So can you speak a little bit about that? Because I think that's, first of all, horror story. So
that was all right. So I guess this would October of 2020. I got into a car accident. I got rear-ended on the freeway at like 60 miles an hour. And I did about a year and a half of physical therapy, chiropractors. I had to have surgery on my knee. I had a whole bunch of invasive medical stuff until finally in June of last year. So yeah, June of 2022, right? Yeah. I had to have
for a little while longer. Yes.
Yeah. I had to have 2 discs replaced in my neck. And that was going to be it.
Right.
So while they were in there, they accidentally paralyzed my right vocal cord. I guess they said they stretched it or something. So after like a week of coming out of surgery and I was all scratchy, I went back for a checkup and they told me like, yeah, it looks like there's a complication. And I all but couldn't talk. Well, I think when I saw you, I shit you not, dude. I thought you were doing a bit. I was like, what is this like a joke about how loud we are or something? Which I didn't feel like we were that loud. So I was like, no. But then you were like, oh no, like I've got a whole thing. Like I was like, oh my God. And then I immediately felt like a dick too. Cause I was like, oh, I thought he was doing comedy and he was just. That's all I ever wanted. Just as long as somebody feels bad.
But yeah, like it was notable in the fact that like you had to wait until until we were in a position where there wasn't 1,000 like background conversations going on even to speak. And I was like,
that
oh
was
man,
pretty
this is
awful.
serious business.
Well, what they had told me when they diagnosed me was that it might come back, but it'll probably be several years. And in the meantime, tough shit. So that was pretty that was pretty awful.
I mean, what's that? Hey, I know it's not a big deal, right? But no, actually, this is a gigantic deal. Like this is like
yeah. I mean, it was
especially
like
when you're say the
life.
singer for a fucking band too. Like that's
yeah, and I'm not exactly a stoic person, like I'm not really the strong silent type.
Yeah, wouldn't necessarily be the first
kind of a talker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't have that big gunfighter energy where you don't speak until you shoot somebody.
No. I'm just like, please don't shoot me right out of the gate.
It's good to get out of the way.
So it ended up. Well, see. So after that, I actually had another procedure where they did a few of these where they injected like filler into my vocal cord. The idea being to get it to enlarge so that it could touch my left vocal cord, so that I could at least get some more volume to my voice.
Yeah.
What ended up happening was they overshot it, and the next day my throat was almost swollen completely shut, and I had to go back to the hospital and have them shoot some more stuff in there so I didn't suffocate.
Right.
So it was like a year of like every time I go to the doctor, it's a new injury, and it was pretty miserable. Ended up 7 months, and I was pretty much good to go. So,
which is great. I mean, that's like, there's a way that story ended very differently, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it all sorted itself out like best case scenario. So,
but then
it
also
was hard to go through, but I'm
yeah,
fine
like
now.
you have that ambiguity, right? It isn't even like, you get 6 months to live, son. It isn't even like that. It's like, oh, it may end up like this, maybe not. Who knows? And like that's horrific. That to have that ambiguity.
Yeah. Well, I bought a few more guitars during that time.
And that's a good point, because you were in a situation where again, we met in Quee, as we adequately established in the other episode, one of your first LA shows or whatever, and you were a singer and a guitar player, and at that point, I felt like personally that it seemed like Cunts were kind of running hot, where it's like, oh yeah, people really like this band, and like they're doing cool stuff, and people are connecting with it, and then I can't imagine the idea of just being like, oh yeah, that's over, that you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it was a pretty difficult thing to get my mind around. And I mean, I was really scared, and I was really angry.
Yeah.
And fortunately, with like, I don't know, I talk about like, for all of the horrible things that I wanted to say and do during that time, I didn't do any of them. I came out of that whole thing not owing anyone an apology.
Okay,
and I'm really grateful for that. That somehow I mean, yeah, it sucked. It was really scary, and like, it was really hard. The other part of it was that I coughed constantly because like the right side of my larynx was prolapsed. So this is when people are just starting to go outside after the
just starting to deal with the fact they're going out in the world, and you're like
everywhere I go. Yeah, no, like in elevators and stuff, and like having to like, because I was coughing constantly. I didn't go out a lot because of it, and like every time I did, actually, I went to a show, and I was coughing a lot, and afterward, my girlfriend was like, that was really funny seeing everybody freak out about you coughing. And I was like, I was just about to start crying. I'm like, is that really? I thought that's what everybody. It was terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I stayed home a lot. It wasn't a whole lot of fun. The bright side of it, however, was that I was on medical leave from my job for 10 months.
Oh, wow.
And aside from not being able to talk, I wasn't really like, I mean, after the surgery, it took a little time to get moving again, but I didn't work for almost a year. And that was fucking glorious.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time down at the studio.
Sure. Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Playing with different people, and did some other musical projects, did some songwriting for a friend, and I got really accustomed to doing whatever the hell I felt like it all the time.
Which is addicting.
Yeah. I felt like I found it really suited me. Like,
yeah, when you had a taste of that, like going back to anything that's not that is sort of like, oh.
Yeah, it's been tough. I mean, I don't work that hard or that much, but it still seems like a horribly unreasonable imposition.
Yeah, but I like that during the course of this you kept with it with music, like you kept creative, you kept doing things, kept going. I mean, did you find yourself thinking about ways that you could make things like maybe more rewarding or more interesting to yourself? Meaning like were you looking at this like a like the 5 obstructions or something, right? Like, okay, so I obviously can't sing on any of this, so like what about if I lyrically phrase this or compose in such a way that.
Well, I mean, honestly, I've always thought of myself more as a guitar player than as a singer. So it's just like, okay, I'll just play guitar,
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, at no point, I mean, it was like, okay, I guess now I'm, going to have to augment what I do. And, Paul and I had started working on some stuff, Paul from Quee, and me and the other Cunts guys started a new project that I was playing guitar in, and that very quickly morphed back into Cunts when I was able to sing again.
When you're able to do it, yeah. Yeah,
we did a couple of sort of placeholder things with like me and Mike Crane and our drummer Kevin from Cunts. When we did a project called Mop Buckets with me playing bass and another dude singing, and we actually made a record. And then, but it really all was, in the spirit of let's just keep doing something till I can, if and when I can sing again. And so
just keep moving forward. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. When my voice started coming back, it happened to sort of coincide with like some interest in the band.
Right.
Just some people we know asking about us and what's what's going on, and it was just like let's give it a shot. And that was really it was really cool. I'd been screaming in the car and stuff. We had like our first practice, and I told the guys like I don't really know what's going to come out, so bear with me. We did a song, and they all said I'd never sounded better.
Which is great. I mean, it's amazing. That's huge. That's like a massive.
The tone of my voice is a little different now.
Yeah,
and I don't have the range I used to have as far as high notes and falsetto. I'm not as adept at that, but I like the sound, like the tone of my voice more now, particularly in the more screamy stuff.
Well, so that's where, again, that's where it's good that with that band that it's like you're not exactly doing Pavarotti, it's and as much as I love Halfordisms as much as the next guy in the right band, but like it's as much about attitude and delivery as anything else. Band, right, and I think that's
for sure
probably serves the situation pretty well, I would imagine.
Yeah, and there's some more pitched singing on the new record.
Yeah,
but it's not Rob Halford and it's not Pavarotti.
I'm glad aren't you glad I established that?
But it's also not Cookie Monster.
Is it Rob Halford or Pavarotti? No, it's neither of those things. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Well, but also, I mean, it's interesting to me too that Michael Crane had his own things going on too. Like he was like recovering from cancer as well. Like, well, so it's
we finished the first Cunts record and he got cancer.
Yeah, crazy.
got over that. We put out the record. We did one tour, and then the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And actually, before my surgery, we had started playing shows again, but it was really just not happening. We did a couple of cunts gigs with a new bass player because our first bass player had quit, and the shows really sucked. It was no fun. And then my surgery happened, so that was that. But when we started up again, it sort of felt like, without wanting to get too spiritual or whatever, it just sort of felt like it was the time to do it, and circumstances were as such that we could, and at least a handful of people wanted us to. So, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm really, really psyched on the record that we made.
Yeah, no, that's exciting, and it's cool because there's a lot of stuff in the world, right? And so it's kind of a minor miracle and something to celebrate when anyone connects with anything at all, ever, at any time.
Yeah, that's well put.
To put it bluntly. So to see, even from the outside, to see the band kind of connect with people and sort of like be like, oh no, this is like, people are really into this. That's awesome. And then to be like, oh, it's over. Would just be like, oh my God, that's just like, that's just the casual heartbreak that is so much of life. So I'm glad to see it because again, I felt like that was an auspicious debut, the self-titled record, right? It's a self-titled.
Thank you.
I mean, it's definitely the, it's. I don't think the band name was doing you any favors in the U.S., although in the Australia, UK, maybe people care less.
No, and you'd mentioned like we changed the spelling,
right.
And there was a fair amount of consternation about that, but like.
Because on one hand, it's like the best punk rock name ever, right? Because it's like, oh,
that was my thinking.
Wow.
That's why I wanted to do it.
like holy crap!
Honestly, all I ever thought was like, oh, that'd be a great name for a nasty punk band,
right? Yeah.
But like, I mean, this is just my own ineptitude, but I really didn't think anybody would give a shit.
That's funny,
and they really did.
Yeah. Yes. That is a thing that it seems like. Things have been retroactively applied to like whatever this modern sensibility is, to the fact that like bands that have careers and have put out records are changing their names just to like not have to deal with it.
Well, remember when Girl Band made that big announcement about that they were changing their name to Gila Band?
I remember that.
I wish this would have timed out better because I was like that day, like, you guys, we're changing our name to Girl Band. And we're gonna take their same statement and just switch the words out.
Change the words. Holy shit.
And just like, okay, Cunts is Girl Band now.
That would have been an all-time punk rock antic. That would have
been so good. But the thing where we were at was so up in the air. It was like while I was all banged up, and it just if I could live my life over again. And it's like, and on one hand, like, I don't think people should be so sensitive or whatever. And on the other hand, it's hardly the hill I want to die on, And like, we're still called in life.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, we're still called cunts, but nobody's gonna get in trouble writing CNTS on a fucking marquee,
Right,
and so,
exactly. People's gonna assume it's an acronym or something.
Yeah.
Like how people will do CNSF. I'm like, please don't do that. I understand that my band name is like incredibly cumbersome and long, but I really wish that you wouldn't do that. But yeah, because acronyms are like, especially when acronyms like take as long to say as the real band name. It's like, okay, I get it if you're getting paid by the letter or something and you don't have enough letters on the marquee. I understand, but no, but I think it's a way to, like, you're not courting controversy, but you're not sacrificing the aesthetic of maybe challenging what people's perceptions are. Like, well, why is that something that we think of as this horrific slur, at least in the U.S. again?
Well, and part of it for me too is like, I mean, the last thing in the world I want is to be like the middle-aged white guy, like rallying for my right to say things that people find offensive. Like, that's just a bad look.
You can't even tell a joke on a college campus anymore.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't like.
Have you tried being funny? That could help.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, polarized as the world is, if you have to pick a side.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's that's the factionalism and the picking of sides is such a complete and total, like, there's not even a question about it anymore. And it's like, well, it used to be you could engage with art and not have it be immediately politicized, and I don't know. I feel like that's a modern construct. I think that's taken away a lot of the impishness about things, and has it also exposed people that maybe were just awful folks that like this. They didn't really. There was no. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Sure. But I also kind of feel like it's, I don't know. I never asked for, nor do I want to participate in a nuanceless world either.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's part of what I don't like about it is it's sort of like everything has to be dumbed down to like meet the emotional needs of the lowest common denominator and the people who aren't interested in critical thinking, or I don't know. I mean, all this reactionary lefty stuff. That was the other side that did that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, exactly. And now
those are the guys. Those are the people banning books, not us.
Yeah, did you remember when we used to goof on that? Because I do.
Yeah,
it's being like, yo, this is like horrific for culture that people like want to like not have this exist because they don't like it.
Like where the fuck does it? It's like in the back of the Bible somewhere that you're never supposed to ever be confronted with an idea or a word that you don't like.
Right, exactly. Well,
I mean, is that in the Constitution? I never read it.
Yeah, it's in both actually. They're the same book actually in recent revisions. So, it's a safe space.
If I got to ban everything that offended me,
yeah,
I mean, we'd pretty much be left with like Led Zeppelin 4, barbecue ribs. That's it.
And we're gonna work on that third thing.
Those things have never bugged me.
Yeah, I mean, like it's somewhat absurd, but then. By the same token, like there's, I get the, okay, so I brought this up in a show I guest hosted called This Is Revolution, that there was because again, before wokeness was being attacked as like, which basically is a placeholder for things that I don't like it's woke. If I don't like it, it's woke. Like, this woke stick tripped me and I fell and hurt myself. What?
I know.
That it was political correctness. And there was I thought this was a great thing. It was like a browser extension that anytime you'd read an article which had the words political correctness in, and it changed political correctness to treating people with respect. So it'd be like,
I heard that. Yeah.
Is treating people with respect out of control? Like would be like the headline, which was great because it made you think about how absurd it was to be like, why are you writing articles about this? Like about the like. And I'm not saying, and by the same token, I'm also not saying like. I get it that like you can say this and not this can be exhausting for people that like don't want to be challenged about it, but like that's basically what it comes down to. And to have something like that, which makes you think about, okay, well, if that can be like you see the absurdity of it immediately, and to have like again that level of critical thinking applied to it, I think was incredibly effective. Now that said, there's a bunch of people that are not interested in critical thinking. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Matt, but they're. Is that
what it is?
Yeah, they're.
And I mean, and on the other side of that too, I think all these are conversations worth having, and I think that we can all be more thoughtful about the words we use and how we express ourselves and what we say about other people, and I mean, absolutely. I just, I don't know. I just want to say cunts. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a politician. I'm not a philosopher, and I'm not.
Sure.
I'm not. Yeah. I can sort of pretend to be smart if I really want to affect that, but I'm not. Like I don't know.
Well, I think it's less fraught to have it be like a different spelling for sure. And people that get a rise out of like saying the word cunts can say it all they want because it's still pronounced the same. And I think you're going to get. Hopefully, any engagement that comes on that level will be coming from a more intelligent place. We'll see.
So.
But so basically it was a hiatus, right? It was 2019 that like the self-title came out, and then you've got a new one coming out. This isn't like breaking news because you talked about it already.
Yeah, in March.
And there was a couple like YouTube videos, like vignettes, skits, and then there's a video for Life's Fortune. So getting back on the horse, so to speak, with Kunz, what was that process looking like? So you're saying you absorbed in like the songs where you're playing bass, right? Like you're kind of like, okay, this is kind of this seems like it fits more in this canister category, whatever you want to put it.
Yeah, and I don't really love playing bass.
Okay, all right.
No, and then we started. I mean, we had a whole bunch of old like the way we write is typically, we will sort of jam in the studio. We have recording capabilities at our studio, so we can just record practices and stuff, and it sort of starts
awesome.
there, and then we'll go back, and a lot of it is Crane and our drummer, picking through and sort of cobbling together in Pro Tools a demo of a song, and then we'll all jam on it, or I'll put vocals to it, and then we edited it or recut it. But so we just started doing that. We had a bunch of old recordings from before we'd stopped and that we liked, and just started picking through all of it. Yeah.
Well, and I like that the way you address it too wasn't just to first of all ignore it, which seems to be like a lot of bands things where it's just like, okay, if there's any adversity or anything that isn't just them being like triumphant, especially in the metal world, it's like, come on, grow up. Everyone knows you're who you guys are and where you're at. But like it was like you know what I'm talking about, where it's like, grow up. Nobody believes you. Nobody believes that you're like these temporarily embarrassed superstars. Okay. But like you had that video, where you're like tooling around, you're in a wheelchair, and it's like you're like mute and like, but you got the
well, that was all. I mean, they wheeled me out of the hospital, and I couldn't walk for a while because I had knee surgery, and I wasn't exactly mute, but I couldn't talk, and so
so you're taking elements of truth and making something kind of like entertaining and funny with it.
Yeah.
Because I think at one point you like go to like the thrift store and pick up a trophy or something.
That was a trophy store.
Actually. Yeah. It's an actual trophy store. Okay. Good to know.
What was great is in the video, it seems like we're rolling down the sidewalk, and I'm holding it. This woman walking the other way just goes, "Congratulations."
That's right. Yeah.
I was just holding a trophy, and that was just like, so there's like, "Congratulations."
I forgot about that.
Like,
yeah,
thank
awesome.
you. It was so good. Well, then the burning car thing too.
Yeah.
We'd been out creating content and happened to drive by that. That was there was a car on fire on 4th Street in Boyle, and on our way back to our practice space. So
yeah.
But as far as we decided as far as how we wanted to present ourselves and how we wanted to deal with that and announce that we were back, is to like make it entertaining,
right? And to kind of like take,
we're not like pulling swords from stones and
right? Yeah, exactly. Some of these press releases, I'm like, did anybody read this? Because it doesn't seem like anyone did, and they certainly didn't read it to somebody outside the band.
Yeah, totally. It's like,
when we created music, okay, I'm out. It's and it's but it's funny, it's entertaining, and it fits with the sort of impishness that I associate with Kunz, and
we're a little cheeky,
right, and that's something that I don't know. I feel like less bands present themselves that way now, mostly because it's probably exhausting having to deal with people that don't get it or are predisposed not to get it and want to react to things or whatever.
That's been a theme throughout my life for as long as I can remember.
Sure, it's nothing new under the sun.
I mean, I was dealing with that shit in kindergarten.
Well, and again, it's somewhat of a lost art right now, but I've been around you in the prank phone call era. That was pretty hilarious. That's a good way to spend some time between shows. That's all I guess.
Yeah, but
not that I would ever, of course. But I thought that you.
No,
I, a saint, would never do so.
No,
certainly.
No, neither would I.
Ruined in the caller ID era, by the way. That
not entirely.
Okay. All right.
What's really, I mean, I'm not necessarily as active in that particular medium as I once was, but
in those spaces. Yeah.
oh, what's a fun thing about that too? Like, I mean, I've had like, like I could somebody being like, oh God, like we're gonna call the police.
Right.
Yeah, tell them what. Tell them that somebody called up and played a joke on you.
Yeah. What exactly is the crime that
Like,
you're
what
reporting?
what are you gonna do? Tell my parents? I'm fucking 40, and they think it's funny.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
Anytime, honestly, for the longest time, like I would. The whole point of making a prank was like get to the point where somebody would finally be like, "Is this a joke?" Like,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah. Good day. Good day, sir. I'd say good day.
I said good.
Yeah. Well, and that's but it's interesting how. Well, I believe its culture has like humor has like changed to be like, here is a reference to the thing that we all know now, where it's like completely referential rather than more irreverent, right? And that's I got feelings about that, but I think that like more so than anything else in music, because it feels like there's only one way to present things musically, and first of all, half it is like, okay, you're describing being an Instagram influencer is what you're describing. Like you're not describing being in a band, you're describing being an influencer, which is now what everyone is forced into doing. Like Spotify gives these tutorials. Here's how you can grow your music on Spotify. I got an idea about growing my music on Spotify. How about it's good and you let people see it, and then they can play it.
And I don't personally pay a whole lot of attention to that.
It's a horror show. Don't do it. Yeah.
I mean, obviously that's the world we're living in, and it's, I guess, a necessary evil. I mean, but I don't know. I mean, it's not like we're making any money from it.
Sure. I mean, there's always that.
Why pursue that? I mean, and there are people, on our behalf and labels that we've worked with and stuff who are all doing that. So I share with whatever music I have out there, somebody is getting that done to whatever degree they can. Yeah. But I just don't have the wherewithal to. It just doesn't. It doesn't hold my attention. I just get
it's awful
really quickly. And
yeah, no, it's horrifically. You have to find either avoid it entirely, or you find ways to do it that are not, that don't make you want to die. Those are the two options. And
then the other side of it too is I do want all our music to be available on all the streaming platforms.
Sure.
Because how else is anybody going to hear about us?
Right.
I don't have the luxury of being like Neil Young. Or
where people will find it anyway.
Who's the one? What's the one? I can't remember now. And I actually don't. I mean, I have a Spotify account, but I use Apple Music. Not that, I don't know if that's any better or not.
There's no such thing.
It doesn't seem markedly better. I haven't gotten any checks from Apple either.
It's a firm conceit of myself and this show that there's no such thing as ethical streaming for availability of all music for all time for a monthly fee. There's no way that's ever going to happen, because who's going to be rewarded are the same people that are winning and everything else every time. And if you don't like it, there's a larger system you need to address to take care of that before you just take your music off of Spotify and pat yourself on the back.
Yeah,
that's my challenge, and that's my presupposition. But that said, as I think there's also the point that like if people are, if Walmart is the only store you have in town and your stuff's not in Walmart, then people aren't buying your stuff. And so by that same token, I don't think usage of these walled gardens should necessarily be an endorsement of wholeheartedly of their political belief systems or who they are choosing to put on. Like some indie band that gets 1,000 plays a year, taking their stuff off because they don't like Joe Rogan. Nobody will notice that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to phrase it that way, but no one will notice. It will make no difference. If it makes a difference to you, cool. And so for some people they do. But like even en masse, if like 20,000 bands did that, no one's gonna notice. People notice when Neil Young did it, but it didn't affect Neil at all because Neil doesn't need that. Neil can do whatever he
Yeah,
wants.
yeah. I'm sure Neil has very good health insurance.
Right, exactly.
He had a really nice PPO.
Fugazi could, if they chose to do it, then okay, that might be a big deal. But also, like, it's
Albini take all his stuff off.
yeah, and that was one of the ones I'm like, okay, that actually moves the needle a little bit and maybe gets people thinking about it. And I'm not, again, I want to be clear about this. I'm not like judging people that did. I'm just saying that, like, for me, I don't agree that that's that there's efficacy to it. But if you remove it because first of all these platforms are terrible. Like, it's sort of like, where do you hear about YouTube? Where do you hear about Apple? Where do you hear about, like, all of these like, and I love that, like, people very performative are posting on Facebook about it too, where I'm like, do you not see the irony of this? Like,
yeah,
really?
and then extrapolate that further. Everything's awful.
Sure, and that's the ultimate
you know what I mean?
Like, that argument.
Yeah, I mean, like
yeah.
I mean, nobody's innocent. Nobody gets out unscathed. So, like, where do you draw the line? And
Sure.
I mean, there are lots of places that are totally reasonable places to draw the line.
Agreed. And again,
I gain nothing by not having my music on streaming platforms.
Yeah, if that's how people want to listen to it, then they should listen to it that way. And like, it's fine. Would I prefer they buy a record? Yes, because I would actually see that money. That sounds great. Like, and I believe that that's a archival medium, so it's not going to disappear. You're not renting your music from a walled garden that potentially could disappear tomorrow, and then it's all gone.
Well, when all of this stuff, I don't know, like 5-6 years ago, was there was a whole lot of controversy, and there were a lot of people trying to fight it. And I remember I was had some friends who were involved with the Content Creators Coalition, which is led by Mark Ribot.
Oh, that's right. I remember this. Yeah.
And a buddy of mine invited me to, like, their sort of get together lunch, and I just went because I wanted to meet Mark Ribot.
Yeah. Yes, please.
And everything that they had to say was like, yeah, I agree with that 100%. But this is not my fight. I never made any money in the old paradigm. And so I didn't. You know what I mean?
Like the guy from Cracker, like, had a lot to lose, right? And that's why he's
totally
mad about it. And I get it. And good for that guy.
But it's like, what am I really fighting for? Is this like so John Cougar Mellencamp can get a new deck? Because I don't really give a fuck about that. I don't know. It just it's never seemed like my fight because I never had a hit record.
Yeah. And whether you agreed with the decision or not, it ultimately was decided at a certain point that music was free. And so because of that, the way I look at it is like, to me, it's like, okay, it's taking the place of, like, what radio was. Is like, it's a discovery tool. And for some people, they would be fine just like, hey, whenever, sure, Pink Houses, it comes on the radio. Like, that's all I want to hear. That I don't need to hear that any more than what I hear incidentally being played on the way to the grocery store or something. And for some people, they're gonna I really want to listen to Pink Houses. Why is it Pink Houses? I don't know why I picked that, but, like,
let's go with Hurts So Good.
Sometimes love don't feel like it should.
Like at the doctor today.
But those people they do want to listen to stuff, and I realize people might think this would be reductively them talking about basic concepts, but that's how I choose to look at it, because I just don't feel like people are ever going to go back unless there's, like, a fundamental restructuring of the internet as we know it that's founded in fairness, which, by the way, great, good luck, let me know. I will wave the flag for that if that shows up. But you have to. There's so much intrinsic inequality and unfairness and profitability built on people being the product. If they're not paying for it, and if they are paying for it, still being the product, that it just seems like exhausting. I'm exhausted talking about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and if it comes down to really, like, me versus the internet. You think I'm going to win? I don't.
Looking at a guy that can beat a fixed game. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, good luck. I mean, yeah, exactly. So anyway, like, whatever. This is, I could talk about this for hours and have. Tell me about Life's Fortune, though, because that's when you got that cool video for. And And there's
Yeah.
it seems like there's themes to that are sort of like kind of like what we're talking about, you know?
Yeah, I mean, well, that was like the first new song that we wrote when we started playing together again.
Right.
Are you like the lyrics? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah. I mean, yes. However you want to discuss it. Like I go
Yeah,
through it
I
out
mean-
a song by song, but it's not out yet, so we can't do that. We'll just talk about this one.
Yeah, I mean that's about inequity.
Yeah.
You know, God, I should have prepared something.
You had an extra
I'm trying to
you had an extra
remember
2 weeks to prepare too. That's what's funny about that.
I'm trying to think of what the lyrics are. Yeah, you know, just a general. All the crazy rich people are killing everybody, they're just ruining everybody's lives.
Right.
In so many words, you know, I mean, I think, you know, again, you know, get back to the polarization of our civilization. Like, you know, I'm a very far left leaning person.
No.
And
I thought
I
you were
also-
a fence sitter.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I don't really, I mean, I think, again, if anybody wanted to really give it any kind of thought, like, the fight we're fighting is not right against left, it's rich against poor, if there's a fight to be fought.
Right.
You know,
Right, because these people that like
it's hardly a concept I invented, but like,
Did you hear this new concept I invented? Yeah.
yeah. Guess what, everybody?
Well, and it's easy to, if you get people all mad at other people, then they're going to be less likely to find the common ground to answer curatively whatever that might be.
Yeah.
The problems.
Yeah, I saw some meme where it was like guy with a big plate of cookies and a guy with one cookie and then a person of color with no cookie.
Yeah.
And the guy with all the cookies is saying, "Hey, careful, that guy wants your cookie."
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Like,
right?
yeah.
That's keep them fighting amongst themselves. It's
And
easy.
I can get wrapped up in that stuff as much as anybody in terms of posting snarky memes on social media.
which is its truest use, of course, as we all know.
Most of that is just to bum out the few conservative relatives I have that still follow me.
To wind them up.
Totally. Fish in a barrel.
Because, like, I mean, you know, I don't like when I see something where it's like, okay, I don't agree with that, but that's kind of funny. Like, it's like I can say that, but it also could. But if it's like I don't agree with that and it's stupid, I also see things I do agree with. It's like that's dumb. That's not funny. That's dumb, and I agree with it, but it's dumb, and I don't want it to be there.
Doesn't always make it easy to be on their side.
No, it's exactly. Talk about exhausting, am I right?
Jesus. Yeah. So you know, I mean, it's funny, like getting older too. I mean, lost my train of thought. I'm old.
Well, okay, so let's go back to the video. So, Last Fortune. I mean, you can make like 4K video on an iPhone now, which is astounding. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it absolutely blows my mind that like these things that, you know, are these cell phones, are they going to last? You know, to be like, no, you have the ability that filmmakers did not have, that were like known filmmakers that have a body of work that would blow your mind. And of course, what do people? And people do it for TikTok. You know, great. Okay, good. That is the story of humanity right there. But I think that's a good example of like using the tools you have at hand to make something kind of cool.
Yeah, and our drummer Kevin is really adept with a lot of that. Kevin and Mike both, as far as like the editing software and all of that. So we've sort of made a point of trying to create a lot of content.
Right.
And yeah, we shot that video on an iPhone.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Edited it on on like Mike's computer. And I'm terrible at that stuff. So, I mean, yes, on one hand, yes, it's easier than it's ever been. It's still totally beyond me.
Yeah, well, it's fine. Not everybody needs to do everything too. You know, that's okay. So where are things with Cunts right now?
We finished our new record. It's coming out at the end of March, and we're just sort of gearing. You know, we've got, you know, we're shooting videos. doing all of that stuff you got to do for an upcoming release and figuring out what next year is going to look like. Want to get on the road as soon as we can.
So that's basically. So there's going to be some shows. There's going to be the return of cunts.
I'm so excited. I mean, haven't been on tour since 19.
Yeah,
and I've really felt the absence of that in my life. So
right. It's about the
I
same, except for now there's a new added element of maybe you can get COVID. Great.
Yeah.
It's less of a factor than it used to be, but I'm always like, oh yeah, it's kind of crazy that like we're just like, yeah, that's fine. We're good with living with this. Okay.
Well, what choice do we have?
I mean, yeah, it's again, choices are made, and socially, I'm not saying like individual people like caused this, but cumulatively as a society, we decided, yeah, we're fine. We're just gonna deal with this, and like we will live with this for forever now. Okay, that pretty crazy when it's like, I feel like a lot of folks like wasted a year and a half of their lives staring at the wall. But fine, I guess it should have been to do whatever you want all the time, always with no repercussions. Great. I'm gonna go steal a cop car. I'll be right back. Thank you.
That would be fun.
It would be. That would be, dude. That would be a blast. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. It was just when you brought up that like 6 months to live, like what would I do? Like, just
Grand Theft Auto, but like in real life.
Yeah. Smoke so much crack.
Get oral sex while driving the cop car the wrong way down the freeway with the siren on.
I've always wanted to punch out a horse. I've got one of my very closest friends talks all the time about. He's like one of my life's goals, like bucket list things he wants to do is to like rent a car and pay for, all the coverage and then just like drive it off a cliff.
like Rebel Without a Cause or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It does look pretty awesome.
Totally. I mean, I would definitely do that if I had 6 months to live. And I probably wouldn't even sign up for the coverage.
Just be like, what are you gonna do? Shit happens. You need a like, did I do that sort of catchphrase? You just develop as like being this villainous character that is completely nihilistic about everything.
What about you've been cronked?
You've been cronked. That's good. That's solid. That's better
Thank
than
you.
most of the content out there, frankly, I think.
What? So I have 6 months to live?
6 months to live, right. Okay, so but talk to me. So Qui is still operational, right?
Yeah, I believe we're actually playing a show next month. It's one of the anniversary shows at the Smell. Jim asked us to do it.
Very cool.
And we haven't played since we got back from Europe in 2019. Yeah. And this, we've been writing new stuff and planning another record with Trevor Dunn. So we've been for the better part of this year, we've been, working on that kind of slowly, but that's what we've been up to. And we got asked to do this show at the Smell. And that just seemed like a really easy, low pressure, built-in audience, not our fault if nobody shows up kind of thing. So we're doing that. I'm actually just trying to get a hold of Jim at the Smell to confirm all of it. But yeah, I think that's sometime next month. So we have been rehearsing. It's been fun. It's been fun working up the old songs again.
That's where you and I met, actually.
That's right. Yeah.
The Smell, which was a
still
landmark
going.
for weird music. Yeah, it's I love that it is. And by the way, last time we talked, I just looked it up. It was January 2020. So Qui had just kind of come off tour and like. So like 2019, like it had been like 6 months or something after that. I can't remember exactly what it was, which is crazy to think about. But that band has just not been doing stuff. So
yeah, when during the pandemic, we did a whole like Paul and I, we started another project with Mike Crane, called Cowards,
which I wanted to ask about. Right? Yeah, thank you for reminding me.
And we have a record done too that we're trying to find a home for. And with
Okay.
that, it's Paul on drums. I'm playing guitar. Crane playing guitar and singing, and then our bass player is Ryan. Jesus Christ, Ryan.
Ryan Reynolds? Ryan.
Shit. Corbett.
Okay.
Ryan Corbett from he plays bass in ACXDC and runs.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and he makes guitars.
Okay. Cool.
Figurehead. They're really good.
Nice.
So yeah, and we have like a full LP done there. That'll see the light of day, I'm sure, like in the next year.
And is that a band that it's like going to be my recording project, or is there going to be shows and stuff? Like what's
hope there's shows. Yeah, that's the intention for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And then started a project with Stu Brooks from Dub Trio and Peeping Tom.
Yeah.
I met him. It was like right before the pandemic. It was when Cunts opened up for Mr. Bungle at the Fonda. And we started talking, and I got home from tour, and we went out for lunch. I'm like, oh, let's do a thing together. And then shutdown was like 2 days later.
Oh man!
So
such a drag.
So Paul and I worked up some stuff at our practice space, and we were sending demos back and forth. And eventually, like we recorded 6 songs. We've got a couple more that we need to finish, and.
Well, because there was that 5-song EP that had like Paul Leary and
right, yeah,
other things that are not Paul Leary.
Right, yeah. Well, that was Stu's record. Then that's actually a full-length LP that I helped write some songs on. One of the songs on that is the Fake Legs project.
Right.
And then we got Paul Leary to do the vocal on and a guitar solo.
It's Live Nude Pigs, right?
Yes. Yeah. That was really, really cool. Getting Paul Leary to play on my on our thing. Butthole Surfers might as well be the fucking Beatles as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, great band.
And then for that record, that came out as part of an LP that Stu did. It's under his name, Stu Brooks.
Okay.
And there's all of the songs are all collabs. I co-wrote and played on 3 of them, and I played guitar on another song too. There's a song on there that I co-wrote and did guitar on, which he got Danny Elfman and Poppy to do the vocal on.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then there's another one that Stu and I wrote that Justin Pearson did the vocal on.
Nice.
And then there's a song with it's Patrick Stump from Fall Out Boy.
Okay.
I play guitar on that. I didn't really have anything to do with the writing. And then
nice.
the Fake Legs track, Live Nude Pigs.
Yeah, I will confess I didn't really know who Poppy was, but of course Danny Elfman, who, by the way, like, is no one going to talk about how jacked that guy is now? Like, that dude is like,
yeah,
crazy.
I didn't go this year, but last year I went to his show at the Bowl on Halloween, and
yeah,
this 70-year-old man who's, all yoked out, shirtless.
Looks like he's
terrifying.
from Mad Max. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're like, what is happening, Danny Elfman? What's going on?
Yeah, I got to meet him very briefly that night, and he's a strange man.
I don't doubt it. I'm actually having Steve Bartek on next month.
Rad!
Which is awesome. He did he's done a lot of things. I think he did the Beetlejuice 2 soundtrack with Danny too. But he's kind of been the guy who's hung out on Oingo Boingo the longest. But he also did some stuff with Jerry Casale of Devo, and which is super cool and just really cool. That guy's a great guitar player. Like a really interesting guitar player. So looking forward to that. I guess that's a soft announce because I didn't mention it until now, but.
You heard it here first. But yeah, so that I'm anxious for the Fake Leg stuff to get finished too.
Yeah.
And toss it around to some labels, see if anybody's into it. I really of all of the sort of like pandemic like all the COVID bands that we started.
Right.
That was the one I was definitely the most excited about, and I think was really good.
Well, it seems like, once I realized, I was like, oh, it's that guy because I was like, who's this guy that they're working with? Like, and I was like, oh, it's that dude. Like, I just didn't know him by name. That's all it comes down to. But then, yeah, it seemed like there was a lot of like, I was like, oh, this is kind of different. This is kind of like a different sort of vibe than maybe you would expect it to be.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, there are a lot of electronic elements which I've always been sort of interested in, but never had the capacity to really do. And Stu is great with that stuff. And yeah, it's not that everything I've ever done was like super melodic, but I think most of the fake leg stuff is even more atonal and harsh. And there are a lot of really unnatural sounds, and a lot of synth stuff that are really harsh in a way that you can't really do with a guitar.
Right.
Try as I may.
Yeah, not for lack of trying. Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun trying to like use these different timbres and stuff, while trying to play like punk songs, but with this sort of different palette of colors, if you will. It was a lot of fun.
Well, and that's exciting too, just to sort of, you go outside the box a little bit of what you're used to doing, but you're bringing your whole lifetime of experience as a musician to it as well. So
yeah, I've been trying to do as much of that stuff as I can. I have a friend who is a A&R guy, and he was telling me that they're rebooting Sun Records.
Really?
And
as a record label.
Yeah, and he said like their first thing is they're curating this huge like 200-300 artists compilation of people doing old Sun songs, and asked me to do one. So
cool.
Yeah. So I did it. I did this old rockabilly song by Warren Smith called Red Cadillac and a Black Mustache. And I got Leah Braswell to play drums. She was in the Butcherettes. And
oh, sure. Yeah. She's cool. I actually saw her with the Butcherettes. Yeah.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah. She's super cool. And so I had her come in, and then I did everything else myself, like did all the guitar and the bass and vocals and backup and all that. And it's pretty straight rockabilly.
Right.
Which is stuff that I really like.
Sure.
I mean, it's one of those genres that's largely ruined by its audience. But I mean, I love like old 50s rock and roll and all that stuff. I really enjoy that. So it was very much like outside of anything I'd ever done before. And I think it came out pretty good. I'm really excited for the release.
That's exciting, man. That's cool.
It's my first thing I've ever be releasing as a solo artist. So,
and it's rockabilly. So now you're going to be
Butterhead.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because like I love that. Like I've been on the Sun Studios tour a couple times, and it's kind of like it's cool, but it's like once you've seen it once, like you don't really need to see it again unless you're seeing it with someone different. But I like the fact that they do still record music there. It's just that you have to do it after hours, but like it's like that's kind of nice because it is a recording studio. But it's also like when you think about like okay, it's not a great recording studio because of the lack of modern equipment. It's there because it's like a room and the vibe and the people that were involved. So it's sort of like I don't know. I don't have the experience. I would totally do it if I didn't have to pay for it. But it's like doing a session that must be like, hey, we're hanging out in this cool museum and we're rocking.
Well, I got to the song that I recorded. I got to do at Valentine Studio in LA, which is an old.
Oh yeah, that's like famous.
Yeah. It's been a studio since the '60s. It's still decked out like it's 1967. Like,
yeah,
and just as far as the decor and the goofy acoustic architecture and shit, and like
there's a bunch of like
carpeting and
Zappa and like Beach Boys stuff there, right? Am I thinking of the right place? Okay.
Yeah, and all the old compressors and the giant RCA mics and all of that. And I was able to get in there at a very reasonable rate, and it was cool getting to do that old song in that old studio.
Right. Yeah.
And it turned out great. I mean, we still dumped it into Pro Tools and edited it. But
Well, sure. I mean, like whatever.
but yeah, it was cool being in that room, and yeah, like the fucking Beach Boys recorded there.
Yeah, like NBD. Like that's totally like a. I mean, I think it's not that that's what you should be obsessed with, but there are definitely moments, when you're someplace historical, where you're like, oh, that's kind of wild, like
I can appreciate that kind of thing. I mean,
history.
I like.
I'm rubbing my balls on a microphone that Brian Wilson used.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you heard about
My
that? Huh?
balls have touched Brian Wilson's lips.
Yeah.
Terrible. Wow, that is.
But no, I mean,
What happened? I think the feed was hijacked for a second. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention.
But it's part. You're like, if you think about Sun Studios and its place in history, right? If nothing else is like, and again, it's be reductive to be like, oh yeah, that's where Elvis came from. Well, sure, lots of other amazing art came out of there as well, but huge historically.
Yeah, and I mean, I love rock and roll folklore, all of that
it's great.
stuff. I mean, I love rock and roll,
Yeah.
It was funny actually when I was talking with my friend who invited me to do it. He's like, "Think about it, you're gonna be label mates with Elvis." I was like,
"That's
okay, yeah,
sure, yeah."
That and $5 will get you a latte.
yeah. I mean, it's sort of like it's a fun little factoid.
That's cool.
But
I mean, I'll
cool.
take it.
I mean,
why not? I mean, I was really excited to get to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm really happy with how my song turned out.
That's good. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. That's great. So when's that? Do you know when that's coming out? Or
I don't.
Okay.
Sounds like there's a whole lot of moving parts with a 200 or 300 artist release. So
yeah, I can. We did that split singles series. I can tell you right now, it's a nightmare without a dream to get bands to do anything, even when they want to. So like that was 12. I can't imagine doing it for 200.
Yeah, well, he told me, and who knows how any of it's going to go, but like, that they're going to release them as like LPs, of just different.
That's exciting.
A whole series of them. So yeah. That'll be cool.
Yeah, that should be awesome. So be on the lookout for that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So what else you got going on? So is 2024 going to be the year of cunts?
I hope so.
That's good. I can see the headline right now, Spin Magazine.
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly poised to. We're all willing to do it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we're still figuring out booking and all of that stuff, but I mean,
it seems like things are aligned, right? It seems things are aligned that you.
Seems like yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to just keep saying yes and doing the next correct thing.
Right.
That's what we all want. I mean, I love touring. I would do it all the time if I could, So yeah. You know what? Yes. 2024 is going to be the year of cunts.
All right. Heard to hear first.
And then I'll show all you sons of bitches. Yeah, no, I mean, we're certainly going to do everything that we can. Hopefully opportunities present themselves, and nothing would please all of us more than to be really busy next year.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that there's a possibility for more queer stuff other than this smell show coming up?
Yeah, probably. I mean, our main thing right now has just been writing.
Yeah.
Hopefully sometime this year, we'll get in the studio and start sussing out all of that. Like we're talked with Trevor about it in the spring about, like last spring, I asked if he'd want to do another one again, and he said he would. So, we're just cobbling all of that together. Hopefully, get in with Toshi at some point. Yeah. Track all that stuff either with Trevor here in LA or do it remotely.
Yeah, because he's got his all set up that he has over there.
Yeah.
So it's whatever works, whatever. I mean, they did that. Him and Kevin did that record. I had Kevin I've talked about that, which is sort of like, it's amazing that technology is advanced to the point that you can do that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I just spoke with Kevin this morning. He was telling me about it.
That's fantastic. he yeah, that was, I don't remember, did we talk about him doing the other, that last episode we did was so long ago, I do not remember like anything about like what we talked about.
I think I was sick then too.
Since it's a running theme.
Oh, remember my smoke detector was going off.
Oh, that's right. I remember. See, it's weird what you remember, right? Like how many, like people, that entire conversation with like legendary arts. I'm like, I don't remember anything that was discussed. Nothing. And then be like, I remember the smoke detector was going up. Oh yeah, that one, right?
Yes, it was compelling.
And I remember you saying while they're arguing about riffs, I can look at girls on Tinder. I remember that. That's again, it's weird what you remember.
Yeah. Well, those days are behind me.
I think if I remember right, we talked a little bit about the Ashtray Heart cover. If I remember correctly. And that wasn't, well, Trevor played on that, but that wasn't on the record we did with him. Right.
That was on our, like the last, I guess, proper Quee record. And that was like us with Trevor, Kevin Ritmanis, and Buzz.
Yeah.
So it was actually more Melvins than Quee members on that.
Sure. Yeah. Wow. More the merrier.
Yeah. That was my favorite song off that record.
Yeah. That's which one is that off of? That's it's one of the ones I like.
Which Beefheart record?
Yeah.
Oh, that's off Dock at the Radar Station.
Yeah, but I think like I know it's sort of like, oh, that's the basic one, but I like Safe as Milk, man. I think that's a great record.
They're all great.
They're all, there's something cool and interesting about all of them, but yeah, that one.
Radar Station is definitely my favorite. Maybe my favorite album of all time.
Really? Wow.
Certainly top 5.
Okay.
But like I was, like my dad is like this like obsessive Zappa freak.
Right.
And
that
so like
tends to be the case,
I grew up with all of that stuff. I mean, like I think I even said this in the last thing, but my dad told me like he used to rock me to sleep to Beefheart records.
That's amazing.
So like,
I love that.
That is really some of my very favorite music.
Yeah, I mean, and that's like Dirty Blue Jeans on there, Hothead. There's a bunch of good tunes on there. Yeah.
Yeah, aren't any bad ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we were on tour with Trevor, I don't know, was that 6 years ago when we did that record with him?
Right. Yeah.
We played up in Humboldt, and he was telling us, Beefheart, lived his last years up in Humboldt,
where he's painting, right? If I remember.
Yeah, and he was buried at sea.
Was he really? Okay,
yeah, and there's like there's a spot it's in Trinidad, California, which is like north of Arcata in Humboldt County, where they have like an official port where they do sea burials. And there's a monument with all the names of people who've been buried at sea out there. And there was Don Van Vliet, Jan Van Vliet, his wife, were on there.
Wow. Buried at sea. All right.
I think that's probably the funniest burial. And I'm pretty sure that's what I want to do.
Why not?
I mean, at the same place too, me and the captain. I just think that's like the most inherently funny thing you could do with a dead body.
Maybe just get a rental car and just launch it off of the cliff. And
there you go. Yeah,
you take care of both things at once.
I always joked about wanting to be stuffed. Just like have like my
like a horse,
family and love. Yes, yeah, like a beloved dog, and just have my friends and loved ones like take turns displaying me in their living rooms or whatever. Like dress me up in like a shift. Yeah, totally. What I had envisioned was like put me like dress me up like Superman, and just like hang me from the ceiling, just like something like that, or just like on the front lawn with my pants down.
Yeah. Kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
Would be a conversation starter to be sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Sea burial.
Burial at sea. Sure. Why not? Do you have any Like plans to try to do any overseas stuff or anything along those lines, or is it just sort of like a walk before you run situation?
We do insofar as we want to.
Right.
Talking with a few people. We're just trying to find a booking agent, basically.
Yeah.
We're just sort of getting all that ramped up and figure out. But I mean, the intention is certainly to go do Europe. And I know that there's been a little bit of rumbling about Japan and Australia, but I don't know that that's gotten any further than somebody saying, "Hey, you should do that."
Right, where it's like, yeah, that sounds great. How do we make that happen?
Somebody knew somebody suggesting it.
Yeah.
I mean, if
more and more people are talking about it. Really? Who? Oh, you right now. Got it.
Yeah. I mean, I would. I've never been to Japan or Australia.
Yeah.
Qui toured in New Zealand.
I remember I was going to just about to invoke the fact that you played in New Zealand because I have a friend down there who saw you, and that's how I know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's the one. No,
it was. Yeah, nothing but
like,
nice things to say. It was like, they were great. I'm like, I know. I've played a bunch of shows with them. They're awesome.
I read a really bad review of our show in Wellington.
Oh,
that
really?
was like, yeah, I don't remember the night that way,
uh-huh.
but yeah, the reviewer absolutely hated us. Just, I think something along the lines of like, this just seemed like a test to see how much an audience would put up with.
Wow.
Yeah. And I suppose there's an element to that.
It's just not.
I guess. I mean.
Yeah. It's not what you're trying to do, but yeah.
No. I guess we're not trying to make people leave. But yeah, it was one of the worst reviews we've ever gotten.
Wow. Well, at least it
was funny.
You know, it's a strong reaction, at least, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
Say what you will about the result. It's a strong reaction.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't think it really hurt our career.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, New Zealand was kind of a letdown in a way, because
really
all you ever hear when everybody talks about New Zealand is like the most wonderful paradise in the whole world, Mom. And it's like, it's pretty much like Pismo Beach. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
no, I get it. Yeah.
It was exactly like Pismo Beach.
It wasn't like this idyllic situation.
Well, I mean, Pismo's gorgeous, you know?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
It's
all right.
But the practical parts of it, where like it costs $20 to get a coffee and a muffin in the morning. Oof. So like everything was really expensive. And the main thing though was they don't have like proper highways there. So like, and we drove like the entire length of the country, from the very north tip of the North Island all the way down to the very bottom of the South Island. It's a city called Invercargill, which is like a stone's throw from the South Pole. It's like the southernmost city in the world. Weird down there too, if you can believe it.
Shocking.
But you know, it was literally, it was like, you know, like what would have been a 2-hour drive in America was like a 6-hour drive. And so it was just kind of like,
just because of the nature of the roads and like,
yeah.
So
the whole thing was, the whole thing was just kind of like, you know, if I was going to go on vacation in New Zealand, I wouldn't spend it in a van and then hanging around like the shittiest bar in town, you know, like, I mean, I'm glad it was cool that we went.
Yeah.
I'm happy for the experience and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was just like, you know, all anybody ever say about it's culturally progressive and blah. And I noticed a lot of people weren't wearing shoes. Actually,
that was the big thing, huh?
We met up with the guys that this other band we were touring with, and it was like he, you know, picked us up at the airport, and we got into town. We're just kind of looking around, and Paul turns to him and he goes, "Is this one of these like reggae countries?" The guy's like, "Yeah, kinda."
Oh man!
Like everybody's stoned and don't have to wear shoes.
Yeah, that's checking all the boxes. Sounds like one of those reggae countries, all right, for sure.
But I would love to go to Japan. I would love to go to Australia. I'd like to I mean, right now, I'd love to go to Tucson. You know.
Right. No, I get you. That like you're just looking to get out there. Play. Yeah, for sure. Yes, absolutely. Why not? I mean, it makes sense to me.
Yeah. So I'm real excited for the chance to do that next year.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad that you're, you're in a position to be able to sing. That's cool.
Thank you. Yeah, me too.
And I'm excited to hear the new record, and I'd be looking for that when it comes out, and excited for you to get out there. So,
Thank you.
Just generally excited. I'm a generally excitable guy, I guess.
I feel pretty exciting right now.
So, Matt, I don't remember if we did this last time or not. I started asking like the same canned question at the end of the show. Either way, whatever, if you did, I don't remember what you said. But this is the only canned question I ask on the show. Choose to interpret it however you like, but why do you do what you do?
I'm trying to be thoughtful and not sarcastic or flippant. I mean, it's literally the only thing I've ever wanted to do since I was like 5 and got over wanting to be a cowboy. All I've ever wanted to do since I was a little kid is play in a rock band. And there are other things in life that I enjoy, but it's the only thing I find that fulfilling. I don't know to say I can't do anything else. I don't know. I know I don't want to do anything else. So pretty much everything I do in my life is sort of in service of that, I guess, because I love it.
Matt Cronk, thanks so much, man. So great to have you on.
Thanks, Conan.
And hopefully be seeing you rock in the somewhat nearish future.
I imagine you will.
All right, take care,
Thank
brother.
you. Peace.
There he goes. Matt Cronk, Quee, cunts, fake legs, cowards. What a cool guy. Let's play the song Life's Fortune. This is a song I can actually play for you, and it is good. This is by the band Cunts.
Life's fortune's gone away. Ruin your life while you struggle to pay. You beg for what they throw away, and thank them when you kneel down and pray. Life lasts not when it's all gone. Gone on trying for too long. Gone down on it and sucked regret like piggies rooting in their shit. Life's fortune's not for you. Held by those you bow down to. Starve trying to survive till no one else is left alive. Stopped while you lopped off a limb. On your knees with a bag on your chin. Lashed on your back with a boot on your neck. Down in the dirt with the fucking rats.
All right, there you go.
Is this thing on?
That was Cunts, spelled CNTS. That's Life's Fortune. You can find that off the upcoming Cunts record. All new for 2024. Featuring my guest, returning guest, Matt Cronk. Great to have him on. First time since the pandemic. This has been Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal. Thank you so very much for listening to it. The show airs Thursdays, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. Streaming live, baby, on YouTube and Twitch and Instagram Live when I feel like it and figure it out. And you can always find the archives for free. No ads, no sponsors, no kidding. ProtonicReversal.com. But, if you like the show and want to get episodes sooner, you can achieve that goal by going to patreon.com/ProtonicReversal. $1 a month helps support the show and gets you that good episode sooner. And there's a bunch of stuff coming up, so you're not going to want to miss that. Thanks, everyone, for doing that, for supporting the show, sharing the episodes around, liking, subscribing on your platform of choice. All that helps people discover the show. And it's just a darn nice thing to do. And I deeply appreciate it. Lots of cool stuff coming up for 2024. Might even sneak another episode before the end of the year. We'll see. We'll see what the day takes us. But lots of really good stuff happening. Stick with it. Follow the show and all the things. If there's a thing, we're on it. Scott McDonald of Arc Welder coming on next month. Jerry Casale of Devo returning. Steve Bartek of Oingo Boingo. Greg Norton of Husker Du coming back. See? You're saying that isn't worth $1? Come on. Anyway, stay safe out there. Have a great holiday.
Hear me now?
Check you later.
Out on Route 128, dark and lonely. I got my radio on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Welcome to my top 10. I'd like to thank our sponsor. But we haven't got a sponsor. Not if you were the last man on earth. She was prepared to prove it. This one goes out to a special girl. But there is no special girl. It's the end of radio. The last announcer plays the last record. The last what? Leaves the transmitter. Circles the globe in search of a listener. Can you hear me now? not really broadcasting if there's no one there to receive. It's the end of radio. As we come to the close of our broadcast day, got my radio